Key to Conversion, Part 2. Recent posts. Check your internet and refresh this page. Key to Conversion, Part 2. God seems to whisper in all religions that are designed to please God. Notice that I did not use him to describe God. Humans are self-serving. They distort the whispers of God for their sordid desires for sex, pain, or death of their perceived enemies, money, power, and other sordid notions, whether authentic or imagined. Most refer to God as him, as the male species has dominated in transcribing God's words. Some are foolish enough to believe that they can control the masses if they alter the stories of humankind. Some humans unwittingly believe that their kind is superior to others. They are so misinformed that they are inclined to think that their integrity is sustained by the size of the audience they can muster to listen to their rhetoric and the weapons they create to subdue their enemies. They use all types of tricks and devices to prove their point. They brandish their weapons to frighten their perceived foes and perform cruel acts upon those of less influence or wealth, believing they are invincible. Their influence over others creates an illusion that their way is best. Therefore, many follow them for many seasons and adorn themselves with ill-gotten gratification to their chagrin. Some hide their conduct because, like other humans, they too understand that their acts do not conform with the whispers of God. They wore sheets over their heads, masks over their eyes and mouths, and said things from their mouths that were not in their hearts for self-adoration. They deceive everyone who believes their story. They create a boogeyman at every turn to steer others to accept their misgivings. They often teach their children to deceive and think they're superior, causing their offspring to despise them once they discover the truth. Some succeeded in deceiving their children, but they did not realize that this success was only temporary. Deception has enabled some to form an army of misinformed people, guided by charlatans with desires incompatible with those who follow them. God is incredibly wise, as God has now allowed the truth to sanction itself. Those who have been misguided for eons can reverse humanity's course by learning an uncomplicated process available to all humankind, regardless of color, creed, national origin, religion, or belief. The process is relatively straightforward. There is little to learn, as most humans are programmed to acknowledge God. Many are led astray by those in which they have placed their confidence. Fathers, mothers, religious leaders, teachers, and others have been taught ways to deceive, and they blind the spirits and minds of their offspring by guiding them to destruction. How do we know these things? After many years of lies and deception, some with strong influence and colossal wealth have unveiled their unfettered feelings, regardless of how abhorrent. Their sordid hate and deception have become available for the entire planet to behold. Some of those with less influence now believe that it is acceptable to follow these misguided leaders. The truth of hate and deception exhibited by leaders has enabled things that were once only precariously believed to be now confirmed. The cliché about truth and freedom has resonated in the minds of people in bondage for many centuries. Those demented souls always believed that someone would rescue them if the world could only observe their suffering. They had difficulty imagining that their blessing would arrive because of the acts they had performed exclusively. For eons, they had tried everything, and nothing seemed to work. Even their prayers seemed to go unanswered. Some have latched on to a new way of thinking. After many attempts, their results remained consistent. Others employed different methods but had sparse results. AI, computers, and the internet enabled some to compare notes. Voila! A new way of thinking was born. Many initially rejected and stood by and watched others excel. The success was undeniable. Some listened to words such as, "When they go low, we go high." These words of wisdom were acknowledged and understood thoroughly without further guidance. Some were convinced and understood the benefits of humility clearly at last. They too saw that God had blessed them. They now know it does not take all to understand, but only a few. Soon, others started to catch on. This is why we are sharing this information with you without cost, as we are also exclusively subduing the shackles of evil, and a better world is being created. This is our reward, the reward for all humankind. Sometimes, excellence is achieved by trial and error. After 450 years of trying, should not some success be expected? When others control one's entire physical world, nature forces one to indulge in other dimensions. For example, if one loses one's eyesight, other natural senses, such as smelling or tasting, are enhanced. Nature provides us with isometric abilities that go unnoticed by the untutored eye. These are the natural pushback abilities offered by nature or God. Those perpetrating pain upon others are not cognizant of these attributes, as they are focused on obtaining immediate results for their personal or group desires. They are only tuned to things they can observe with their natural senses in one dimension. They are programmed to believe that they are correct, regardless of the consequences. Things that occur right in their faces are cast away as aberrations or freaks of nature. They create journals and treatises that are recognized by them exclusively, making it appear that their way is godly. Because of their influence and wealth, their works go unchallenged, causing others with credible knowledge to be cast aside. The influence of those with the mega horns and wealth goes unchallenged, causing others with sound wisdom to question their abilities. Some even attempt to emulate their masters and dispense with things seen with their lying eyes. Many are convinced that the only way forward is to do to their masters what has been done to them. This, however, is the wrong way to think. Some, nevertheless, inserted elasticity in their countenance to defy the ways of their bond people and think to the contrary. This minute, few, despite all credible facts leading to the contrary, started to see results. They were rejected wholeheartedly when they shared their discoveries with others in bondage. Some believed the way forward was to question things that did not make good sense, but dared not to reveal their true feelings. Many things they endured were inhumane, and revenge was the only rational way to think. Revenge, however, only brought on more pain. In the 70s, individuals were taken hostage in Stockholm, Sweden. After a certain period, it was noticed that these individuals began emulating their captors. A new term was created, Stockholm Syndrome. This term alerted many people of color, especially black people, that this condition curtailed their success. This new term enabled many schools of thought. However, some dared not conduct themselves contrary to their biblical teachings. These were the ones that had difficulty breaking the spell. Some were endowed with wisdom from other ages, and dimensions soon discovered that contrary thinking awarded specific blessings. They found that many blessings were available by thinking contrary to things taught them that did not make sense. This thought pattern bore fruit indeed.